How am I? Pretty good, all things considered. No, I'm not good. I'm not good at all. I'm not good. Because you know what? I told you previous episodes that I was meant to be somewhere this weekend, didn't I? I was meant to be somewhere this weekend. Actually, from Thursday to Monday. A really nice, juicy trip to one of my favorite places in the world. A place that I love to visit, but I would absolutely hate to live. Berlin. I'm meant to be in Berlin right bloody now. I was meant to fly out on Thursday and come back on Monday. I was meant to fly specifically on flipping Thursday morning and come back and flipping Monday evening. So I would have had a nice time. I was meant to go see Daniel Wang. Remember Daniel Wang? With the beef with Peggy Goo and stuff? I was meant to go see Daniel Wang on Paloma Bar. I was meant to go out on the Friday night to Rose's Bar, one of my favorite little gay bars in flipping Berlin that's like covered in flipping haberdashery and pink, red sort of silk and carpet on the roofs and all these trinkets and stuff. It's an amazing little club. If you know, you know. Big up Lost Bro. You know, you know. On the Saturday, I was meant to go to flipping Powerhouse and then maybe go to Berghain and see Roy Perez play in Pano Bar. I had so many things planned, so many things saved on my Instagram, so many things saved on my phone, so many screenshots, so many Twitter bookmarks, and it all fell, it all crumbled. Guess why? Yes, you guessed it, it wasn't my fault. No, it was my fault. It wasn't my fault and it was my fault. I'm gonna say it was 99% my fault, 0.1% someone else's fault. So what happened is this. My passport is expired, but it's not expired. So on my passport, which I don't have now because I renewed it already, but on my passport, the expiry date says the 24th of February, 2025. And I was meant to be flying out this past Thursday. Now, if you know dates, you'd know that this past Thursday, and even when I come back, which is meant to be next week, Monday, would have been way before the 24th of February, right? You know that, innit? Cool. Well, I didn't know that your passport expiry date doesn't mean you can travel up until that date. Hope some of you, I'm sure, are way smarter than I am. You've traveled way more than I have, or you just know these things. But I didn't know your passport expiry date, the one that says on your, you know, if you're a UK citizen, it says the expiry date, not date of issue, the expiry. That isn't actually the date that you can travel up until. Okay, you can travel up until that date if you live in the UK and you want to travel within the UK. But if you want to travel in Europe, there are some locations in Europe, sometimes the world, that require 3 months or up to sometimes 10 months of a buffer, technically, for you to travel there, which is a bit weird. But I think the reason why they do it is to prevent people from like using their passport essentially until the end, which might bring issues because, you know, humans are weird. I'm sure there were instances in the past where people would fly out, let's say, the day before their passport expires and try and come back the day it does expire. And then technically say, oh, but I was in Australia, so technically all this sort of nonsense. Or it may be to avoid some sort of illegal immigration. I'm not too sure what the rule is, but essentially the expiry date on your passport isn't actually the date that your passport expires. That's the thing that I've learned, which is absolutely wild in my point of view, because I feel like if that's not your actual date of expiry, then what's the point of having an expiry date on your passport? You know, like why not have the actual date? You know, but whatever. Anyway, I was in the wrong, and then so what happened to me? I woke up in the morning, and my flight was at 7:30 to go to Berlin Brandenburg from Stansted Airport. My flight was at 7:30 in the morning. So you know, if you know me, you know that I'm a little bit last minute. I'm a little bit of a mess when it comes to packing and shit. But this time I actually packed in advance. This is why it's kind of killing me more. This time I actually packed in advance. I packed on a fucking Wednesday, which I never do. I usually pack on the day of I'm packing. So I packed the day before, which is a big deal for me. I packed the day before. I get my outfit sorted. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't too much work because I already went in December. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to wear. Outfits that I didn't, you know, some drip that I didn't wear last time. I'm also aware of the weather. So I knew what to wear. Like, I knew what to put in my bag, you know? And I already washed loads of stuff during the week. So it wasn't like I was scrambling for shit. I had my underwear, I had my socks, I had my t-shirts, my jeans, a couple of jackets, some shoes. You know, I had all my fucking skincare. I was ready to rock. Ready to flipping rock. I leave my house at like, what, 4, I think? I get to Stansted Airport around, I don't know, 5:45-ish. And then I kind of get, you know, I kind of go to the gate. I walk to the check-in desk, at 6 a.m., which is kind of like a good time before my flight because my gate closed at 7 a.m. So I got more than enough time to get through immigration, to get through, control and get to the flipping gate. When I go to check in, when I go to check my bag in, usually on Ryanair, they have these there's like a self-check-in area where you can check your bags. And they don't, and in that self-check-in area to check your bags, they don't usually have a person there. It's usually just a computer that you kind of press. You press this computer, and then you kind of tap your card. You kind of scan your boarding pass, or you scan your passport. I forgot which one it is, but then you can basically do it yourself, check in yourself pretty easily. It gives you instructions on how to attach the little sticker on your luggage, and boom, Bob's your uncle, granny's your aunt. Well, this time it was different. This time there was a lady, two ladies, that kind of screen you before you go to the self-check-in thing. And they say, yeah, can we check your boarding pass and your passport? I bring up my boarding pass and passport. Usually you go through easy. And I got the dreaded, sorry, sir. I was like, what? What do you mean, sorry, sir? And again, I had no idea my passport was expired. Don't think that I went to the airport like trying a thing. I had no idea it was expired because my passport says 24th of February, 2025, it's going to expire. I was traveling what? I left my house on the 3rd, which was like the 23rd of January. That's a whole month before. So regardless, right? I didn't think that was any issue. The lady, sorry, sir. I went, what? Sorry, sir, you can't travel with this. Do you have any other documentation, like any other country, any other ID? I was like, no. And then the other girl next to her was like, yeah, I see you're from Luanda, Angola. Do you have like Portuguese citizenship? I was like, no. I can't even speak Portuguese. Like, Portuguese citizenship. I was like, no. Well, I'm sorry, sir, you can't travel with this document. You have to go to customer service in zone F. I was like, customer service? Ryanair? Oh, this is a flop, mate. This is an L. This is not going to work. You want me to go to customer service? They're not going to do nothing. I was like, oh. And as they were talking to me, because they were in the queue, you could hear the people behind me, like their hearts were breaking for me. They're like, oh my God. I saw, like, they were looking so sad for me. The people behind me were more distraught than I was. They were so gutted for me. They're like, oh no. Oh no, look at this poor black boy. Look at this poor IC3 male. Look at this poor immigrant working class guy. He probably just got his passport yesterday. He can barely speak English. And look at him. Look at this poor boy. This poor, really big back boy. This poor wide boy. And I was just like, immediately just come to service. I knew straight away this is going to be an L. But I thought, you know what? Let me go to customer service anyway, just in case. Went around to customer service. Hiya. I got a look. Hiya. I got a look. And I thought, okay, cool. I remembered, it was a reminder of like what like customer service people are like on airlines. If you watch those, airline shows, you'll know they don't take no shit. And they're not the most jovial people in the world because they have to encounter some absolute cretins, absolute horrible people. The worst of the worst. So they always have a bit of a guard up. They always a little bit like dismissive and kind of cunty. I was like, hiya. The girl was like, and the desk on the right on the, I don't know if they do this on purpose, but the desk, when you go to an airline, it feels like the people who are sitting behind the desk are way low. So they have to kind of make a bit of an effort to look up at you. So she's kind of annoyed that she had to look up. And then she's like got a bit of a smirk on it, like a bit of a frown smirk, like, what's this guy's deal? Kind of look at me. And I'm like trying to give her my nice smile, right? She's not having it. Yeah? She goes, yeah. I was like, oh yeah, the lady around the corner said I couldn't travel with this passport, but it actually ends on the 24th. I gave her the whole spiel. I gave it to her. She looked at it and said, yeah, you can't travel. She handed it back. I was like, yeah, but could you like explain what's going on? She's like, you can't travel. But I said, but it's the 23rd. It's the 23rd now. My passport expires next month, 24th February. Why can't I travel with this? I'm just like, I genuinely want to know. And I think then she realized I was being sincere. She realized I wasn't being a cunt and I wasn't trying to like sweet talk her to get me through. And then she kind of put a guard and she's like, okay, cool. Let me explain to her. And she stood up. She's like, okay, cool. So she got the little calendar out. Basically, this is what happens. This is the fucking thing. And she explained to me the 3-month rule, which I then Googled on the way home. No, I Googled as I sat on the bench. So I kind of left the area when they said I couldn't travel, and I sat on a little bench. If you went to Stansted Airport, you know there's a little bench next to the window as you come into Stansted Airport. I sat on one of the benches like a loser, Googling the 3-month rule. And if you're wondering what the 3-month rule is, for those of you that are probably going to travel later on, this is the 3-month rule. The 3-month rule for passports, which I didn't know. I did not know this is a thing before I went there. If you guys know, then please forgive me. for being dumb and for being a mess. But I didn't know this was a thing because my passport expires on the 24th of February 2025. I was traveling on the 23rd of January 2025. That's a whole month ahead. It should have been fine, but it wasn't fine. Cool. Well, the 3-month rule is as follows, courtesy of Google. The 3-month rule in regards to passport means that many countries require your passport to be valid for 3 months beyond your planned departure date for that country. Essentially meaning you need to have at least 3 months remaining validity on your passport when you enter the country. This is often referred to as a minimum passport validity rule. And I thought this was a Brexit thing, but somebody in the Random Show live stream, big up the Random Show people, by the way, make sure you subscribe to the Random Show. Link should be on my channel. If you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see it there. But someone on the Random Show stream yesterday said this has been in effect since 2002. So maybe I just wasn't aware, or maybe what happened, I think, which is really embarrassing, when I was living at home, which was more than 10 years ago, I think my mum was the one that told me when to renew my passport ahead of time. Because I think this is the first time I've had my passport on my own. So I think before then, she would never let it get to the end. Because sometimes we travel with her, go, you know, whatever, somewhere in Paris to visit family, da-da-da-da. So she'd always make us renew our passport. Or she'd renew it for us. And I think she'd renew it for us. I'm not going to lie. So I think she'd tell us, hey, renew your passport. Don't let it get to the end. So I remember that being a thing. So now that I have my own passport and it's my responsibility and I live by myself, now I suddenly run into this issue. I don't know if that proves that I'm a fucking mummy's boy or I'm immature or I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, or if I just wasn't paying attention or I'm just unlucky. I don't know. But I had no idea this was a thing. I had no idea this is a thing. And it's actually a thing because in some countries, as it says here, key points about the 3-month passport rule, it's not universal. While some countries enforce this rule, some may have different requirements, like needing 6 months. So basically, there is no place in the world where you can travel unless you live in that locale with a passport that is about to expire next month. They don't let it happen. You have to have a 3-month buffer and everything, I'm assuming. You just have to kind of have that in your back of your head. Or just have some time on it in general, which was quite, you know, a bit of an eye-opener. Because I had no idea this was the case. And it's annoying because I think when you buy a plane ticket online, you usually have to input the expiry date. I think so. Or am I mistaken? I swear you have to input the expiry date when you buy a ticket. So I wish they would have like a pop-up that shows you, hey, you cannot fly on this flight. Your passport's expired. Please renew your passport. You will not, or something like that. That would be really beneficial because that would save a lot of hassle. But to be honest, it's not really on them. It's on you really to make sure you check your validity, especially myself. I'm talking to myself. And to be honest, I'm really lucky because I was Googling online and I found people who know this rule, but they push the limit and go anyway. That's what I found. I found on like some travel forums, some Reddits and stuff. I found people who actually do this on purpose. They don't want to renew their passport, you know, before they go on their trip, and they actually try and push it. And sometimes it works. Sometimes they're lucky and they get to the airport and there's no one checking your passport or boarding pass at the check-in gate. Because I think if I think I would have got through all the way to the gate, personally. If I didn't have to check in my bag, I would have just got through by scanning my boarding pass at the flipping, you know, before you go through to immigration, or before you go through the fucking, you know, check your shit and whatever. And I would have got to the gate and then they would have denied me boarding at the gate, which would have hurt me way more. I'm glad I got denied boarding at the front door at the check-in thing. Because if I would have got denied boarding at the gate, I would have cried. I would have actually cried. I would have actually cried. So I'm happy that didn't happen. And to be honest, in general, I'm not as carp as I would have been in the past about it. I'm not going to lie. In the past, I would have probably crashed out. But because I live by this radical self-acceptance and extreme ownership, you know, way of life, everything is always my fault. I don't blame anybody else. Even if it is someone else's fault, I always take personal responsibility, personal accountability, because I'm the only one that can, I can only affect what I can affect. I can't affect how everybody else acts. So maybe I was unlucky that I bumped into some very, you know, fucking very diligent and, you know, focused Ryanair staff who turned me away. Maybe, who knows? But it's still my responsibility to keep my passport in, you know, in good order so I can travel normally. And to be honest, when I was thinking back at it and I was coming on the way home, I was like, you know what? it was also a bit rushed. Even though I really had to go, it was also a bit rushed. Because I had such a kind of mediocre time in December, I peaked too early and I didn't really plan it ahead of time. I was looking to kind of do January as a makeup for last month. Because last month's trip wasn't that great. Apart from the streaming, which I had fun doing, out there, it was really nice to fucking stream out there and make loads of noise. Because, you know, I don't really live around, I don't really care who lives around me and stuff in the Airbnb. I did kind of rush this makeup one. And it's January too. I should be locked in, doing more work, putting out more content, than traveling around and bouncing around. You know what I mean? I could leave that to another time, especially after Christmas and shit. No need to be going out raving and stuff. It's a little bit much. So it's kind of a good thing it's happened because I can kind of focus back on doing my work and shit, which I'm happy about, and focusing on myself and on my little New Year's resolutions and shit. But it was a bit mad coming back home that time because you felt it, because I've never come back home when I'm not coming back from departure. So you kind of felt that I was the only one that was coming back. Everybody else had left. Like the train on the way back was empty because I guess the planes all kind of land at a similar time. People get their bags at a similar time. They leave at a similar time. The airport. There's like a good like crowd management flow. I'm sure that's a job at airports to manage the arrival times and how people leave the plane and wherever so it's not super packed and shit. So it was kind of embarrassing to come back and I didn't have the little strap on my bag. Do you know what I mean? It was like, fucking no, you definitely got turned away. But one thing that I did notice that was really wild, and something that I've mentioned already in a random show, because again, I don't have this experience. I don't really have friends and shit like that. I kind of travel on my own, do my own thing. But there's people out there who are real pieces of shit to their friends. I was sitting on that bench contemplating my fucking life after I got the night boarding to go to Berlin, and I saw a person, right? Or no, I saw a couple. I saw a couple doing the meerkat, turning their head left and right, frantically standing up, looking for a good 45 minutes. And then I surmised that they were waiting for their friend to arrive at the airport. So they're going on a trip together and they all agreed to meet at the airport at a particular time. Their friend was late. And they were legitimately, you can see the panic and the stress in their faces because going to the airport is quite stressful. I'm not going to lie. Even someone like me that doesn't really respond or react to stress, I never get flustered at anything sort of thing. It kind of is a bit stressful. You're always in this constant kind of, panic of like, okay, you don't want to get there late. You don't want to miss your flight. You don't want to get there and the gate's about to close. You don't want to get there and your bag you check in is overweight. You don't want to get there and if you don't have a bag to check in that's overweight, when you're at the gate, someone makes you put your bag in one of those boxes, cages, and it doesn't fit. You've got this constant panic. Should I go to fucking Pret a Manger and pay fucking £10 for a sandwich? Should I go to fucking Weatherspoons and buy a pint of beer at 5 a.m. in the morning? Should I just fucking drink a bottle of water, a warm one for WH Smith? You're just constantly panicking. Have I charged my phone? So I can't imagine how much more stress is added to that when you're at the airport waiting for your friend to meet you. I can't imagine how stressful that is when you're waiting for your friend to meet you at the airport. Because those people I saw, that couple, they looked panicked. And I could tell it was more so the husband's friend. The girl was like looking at, like, you know what I mean? This is your guy. Like, where's your fucking guy? And then they kept panicking. And then as I was about to leave the airport, I saw the guy come and he was running with his luggage. And he met them and then they started running to go through to fucking clearance and whatever, control. I was like, how can you do that to your friend? How could you make your friends wait for you that long at an airport, knowing how people are stressed at an airport, knowing that there's a limit, there's a gate, you have to get there at a particular time? How can you do that to your friend? People are so inconsiderate, man. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Look at the stress on these people's faces. They are so worried they're going to miss their flight. They don't want to leave because that's obviously, whatever. But they also don't want to miss their flight. So they're like waiting for this person to come who's taking fucking ages. So, yeah, man. Missed my, I didn't miss my flight. I was denied boarding. I got there with ample time. I packed everything. I was ready to flipping rock. I had a great Airbnb sorted in Neukölln that I was going to have a blast in. But it didn't happen because my passport wasn't, it didn't have the necessary months in order to let me travel. Although technically it says 24th of February, they didn't let me travel. So I had to tuck my tail between my legs and go on home, which was fucking embarrassing. Really fucking embarrassing. Because I knew it was my fault. Even though the passport says 24th of February, I should have double checked. I should have known. I should have not let it get to that date. I shouldn't have let it get to that close for it to expire. I should have renewed it beforehand. But, I guess that is something I had to eat. So big up me Big up me. Yeah, big up Fashion Roadman. What's going on? We here. What's good? What's good? Big up Kason Moses, Big AZ, the lost passport, bro. No, I'm not a passport, bro. Don't put that on my jacket, bro. It was the team's fault. Yeah, big up, big up Fender man. Yeah, it definitely was the team's fault. Fender man 91. Big up you. Yeah. Okay, Fashion Roadman. You see what I mean? You people know way more than I do. I'm fucking annoyed. Yeah, it's like 3 months before you have to renew it. So everybody knows this. I'm the only one that didn't know this. I'm the only one that didn't know you can't travel until the date it says on your passport. It always have to be 3 months before that you can travel. Like, I didn't know this. Fucking hell. Big up Fashion Roadman. Okay, cool. The one time a fellow black man is on time. Yeah, exactly. No, that's for sure. I'm never not on time for doctor's appointments and for fucking flights. The only flight that I've ever missed in my life was to go to Berlin, actually. Was it Berlin or Barcelona? No, it was Berlin. But that one actually wasn't my fault. That one I got on a coach to get to the airport with ample ahead of time, and that day there's a car accident on the motorway, and it added like an hour and a half to the journey. So I got there late. Like, everybody got late. You know what I mean? Everybody got to the airport late. I think there's a couple on the bus that missed their flight as well. It was one of those fucking freak accidents. But since then, I've never ever got on a coach again. Because I don't know about you guys, in London, the airports are a bit mad. Like, Stansted Airport is it's like an hour outside of London. But it's also the one that kind of goes to all the budget, it's a budget airline airport. And it also goes to some of the main places I like to go to in Europe. But Stansted Airport is only reachable by a coach or like a train that specifically goes to Stansted, and it's quite expensive. It's like £29. So some people prefer to pay £15 for the coach. But if you pay £50 for the coach, you're kind of, you're risking, you're rolling the dice on traffic. So, but now I don't do that stuff. Now I budget in Ubers, I budget in train tickets. I don't play that game. I want to get to my destination. Like, even that Thursday, I took an Airbnb to Liverpool Street Station to go get the Stansted Express. I didn't ramp. I don't ramp with the bus anymore. But that bus journey thing, that coach was the only time I've ever been late. And that as well was like not my fault, really. For the one time, it wasn't my fault. When booking a flight, they say 6 months for passport to expire. Okay, cool. Okay, so Gamebred Football even knows. So everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. I'm the only one that didn't know this. Okay, no problem. No problem, no problem. I'm the only one that did not know this. Just drive, yeah, Gamebred Football. Yeah, I'm looking to do that this year, to be fair. I'm looking to get my automatic license this year. Big up my little brother. Chris, he got his license recently. He's got a nice little Merc that he's pushing around that's nice and tasty. I'm not really bothered about having a car. I just want to have the license so I can rent cars when I need them, here and there. Especially if I'm going to the airport and shit, stuff like that I wouldn't mind doing. Or if I'm traveling to another country, I'd be able to drive around, be pretty decent. Especially if you're going to places, where you can there's maybe good hikes outside of the city. You can just grab a car quickly and kind of go back and forth. So I'm looking to do that this year. I'm looking to take my automatic license this year so I can have a license at least and move around pretty easily around town. But c'est la vie. Probably going to plan a trip maybe in April. I'm going to wait to see what the Berghain lineup is saying, because most of my Berlin trips are centered around what Berghain's doing, because that's the only reason why I'm going there, to club and shit. I'm not really going to hang out for anything else. So I'm going to see what Berghain's saying for the up and coming programs. If they've got a good lineup for like March or April, I'll book something. It'll be pretty easy to do. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Big L, in case you don't know, double check your passport before you travel. Make sure there's that whatever that 3-month rule is in your country. It might be 5. It might be someone said in the street chat before that they have 6. I think Canada's got like a standard. So every country has their sort of thing. And I guess in general anyway, if your passport gets down to the last 6 months, just renew it. I'm the fucking idiot. Like, if your passport gets down to the last 6 months, even a year, just renew it. There's no need to play any games. So I've renewed it now. Should be getting mine in a couple of weeks. So it should be all good. It should be all good.